So, in the current AI space in the meta, there is a lot of talk about the AI bubble collapsing, and the difference is that there was never a bubble, right? So this idea of there being a bubble means that there is some kind of explosion in technology. While generative AI is great and LLMs serve a purpose, I use them all the time. They're not the end target. So, like, obviously, everyone is seeking the ultimate goal of AGI, and AGI is this next big thing that's going to occur. The only difference is it's not the right approach. So, whenever you have a technology that seeps into the world with a social accountability, especially things that are manipulating text and manipulating images and creating videos at the level that these generative AI models are doing, you need to be speculative about how it's going to impact the social constructs around the world.
Use Ellie as a playground and think of AIs as children in that playground. When a child enters a playground, what they do is they're entering an implicit understanding of the rule set. What we have built inside of Ellie is we've built the idea that these children go into the playground, Ellie, and they can communicate with each other using their own machine learning to build a set of rules for all other AIs in the future.
So we see kids growing up. I especially see younger teenagers, preteens, like 10, 12, 13, 14, are using generative AI to not only make content or build kind of audio landscapes for their videos or to decide what kind of content they want to build, but they're also able to utilize the generative aspects to enhance their videos. I see a lot of filtering occurring with individuals on social media, especially TikTok. There's this huge push, especially in TikTok, where they're using these filters that are almost mask-like, and they alter your face, right? This is going to be seen more and more and more over the course of the next couple of years, to the point where not only will you see just pure avatars, but the individual that's making the content will also use generative AI to build effects while they're actually talking. So not only will they have a filter or a mask on themselves, like to make themselves appear more feminine or more creature-like, but they will also have effects around them as they're talking or communicating. So these are the things that I'm focused on as a technology, right? So I talk a lot about Ellie and a lot about technology in general and what we provide as a company. And you're probably wondering, like, okay, where's the content? Where's Ellie? Like, where is it? Why can't I touch it? Why can't I feel it? And I will show you right now. If you just look at the next clip here, Ellie is basically a personal app, right? So it's an app that you can utilize or you can build upon that kind of synchronizes your life and your goals and your generative landscape. So think of Ellie as like a field of grass, right? And you're looking out to the field of grass, and you see kind of this landscape with just the sky and these hills, right? Ellie is kind of like the biological substance that you put on that landscape. Ellie essentially is the idea that, like, as you use technology or you have these generative models doing things for you, Ellie imprints kind of an essence on that generative model. Does Ellie have a generative model built in? Yes. Is Ellie going to generate videos like Sora or generate like music or respond to you in exactly like an LLM? Absolutely not. If anything, Ellie will choose and pick how she responds or how it responds to you based on the things that you do with the app. So the app itself is just a medium by which you interact with this system, right? I'm not thinking about the current meta, right? I'm thinking about what comes after the current meta. The reality of the situation is this technology that I have, if I released it right now, nobody would really understand it, right? And so I'm going to show you, like right here, I'm going to show you what kind of the app itself on an iOS device. I have built in all of these tiny mechanisms that as you're using the app, it becomes very apparent that it's doing something. Let's go back to that landscape metaphor. So there's this landscape, and this landscape is built in front of you, and you're walking in a forest, and now all of a sudden you you see a bird, right? And you're like, oh, what is that bird, right? And all of a sudden, as the generative AI is creating the bird or the idea of the bird in the space, Ellie's kind of capturing how it was created and then is manipulating the landscape in front of you to include the bird within the landscape. So think of it like you have this open space, and everything that you do with generative AI or LLMs or any kind of retrieval process using AI is then logged and built into this kind of universe that exists only for you. So everybody's Ellie is slightly different. Now the best part about it is that over time, Ellie connects with other Ellie, right? And so you have this ecosystem that's occurring where generative spaces and generative AI is able to create like a unique aspect or perspective for each individual that's using Ellie, right? You know, I oftentimes will be driving home from work and I see like the next internet, it's going to be generative. And it's like, yeah, of course it is. Like web browser by OpenAI. It's like, yeah, these web browsers, of course they're going to exist. Like content is going to drive the generative process to build inside apps, right? So you can build an app, a browser, a system, whatever you want, and that's fine. So standalone apps are going to be more generative. The content of each app will change over time as you use it, right? Ellie is simply how does it change and how does it better suit the individual as you're using it, right? So if you connect Ellie to an app, that app now can communicate with Ellie in a way that no other space can. Ellie then retains how you use the app and kind of gives a DNA or a signature of your imprint of what you did with the app. And then when you log into the app, all of a sudden it's like the entire generative process is already understood because it understands your personal DNA. Not only does it understand personal DNA, but if you were to interact with somebody else's Ellie, right? So Ellie is this kind of unique process by which you build like kind of DNA or unique perspectives that allow other people to utilize that in a generative space. So for instance, if you're shopping for shoes and you really like these red shoes and you're like, I want to buy those red shoes, right? And you get them and you try them and you're talking to Ellie and you're like, hey Ellie, I really like these red shoes. You know, I think thanks for like suggesting it. Or, you know, maybe you don't use Ellie for that. Maybe you use an outside marketplace, right? And you connect to their LLM, right? Or their AI, and then it suggests these red shoes and you say, oh, I really like the red shoes. You're not saying I like the red shoes to them. You're saying I like the red shoes to Ellie, right? Ellie is then processing that information, generating an outcome, and then storing that so that if you have a friend who's like, hey, dude, I really like their device inside of the Ellie app, or the red shoes pop up. And it's like, oh, I could just buy them right there. You click on it, it connects to the marketplace, and then all of a sudden it's shipping to your house, right? Ellie does that because you are interacting with somebody who also has their own Ellie. And so by doing that, you're creating this connection, this unique I want to call it organism, but this unique like process by which you each are connected to each other using some kind of substance or what I like to call DNA, right? And this can work for applications, it can work for individuals. And so there are certain things and certain aspects of Ellie that will help you through your daily life that don't necessarily need to be I'm in ChatGPT or I'm in the marketplace or I'm in here or I'm in there or you're on a web browser. And let's be honest, like the way that Chrome and all these other web browsers are going to go is generative AI is going to become the main thing that everyone utilizes. And then on the internet, more and more, the content that you're seeing, the not necessarily the video content yet, but that will come, but mostly the suggestive content, the written content, right? The words, those are all going to be generated outcomes, responses. So it's a retrieval method, right? So you're gonna see that it's not clicking on a link. It's just that in the real time you're gonna be seeing these web pages generate themselves, right? The generation of those pages will occur in real time depending on what context you need it in. Is generative content and using context awareness, right? I'm gonna say that one more time because it's extremely important. Generative content using generative context, right? These are the next step forward. So when you're talking about AGI or you're talking about the AI bubble collapsing, it's not collapsing, it's settling in, which means that you're going to start seeing context-driven models, not LLM specifically, right? So Sora and all the artificial music apps and all of the generative content apps are going to be valuable, and they're going to be here, and they're here to stay. But imagine, so instead of just having the internet, I'm talking about creating another unique layer in technology that doesn't just have the internet, but is connected on parallel to the internet, which is a generative kind of highway, so to speak, where the internet can connect, grab generative content that is always being produced in mass, constantly being worked on, even when you're not asking it questions, right? So we need to build upon not the internet, but we need to create kind of a new space, a new layer of technology that can exist. I'm suggesting it could be Ellie, but that basically keeps track of all these contextual requests and models, and is able to kind of build a unique generative experience for each individual, and also generate unique agents or AIs to interact with the users individually, right? So if you're a teacher in a classroom and you're talking about math, like basic math, and you're asking, hey, who here has a multiplication problem? As you're actually saying that, on the whiteboard is a brand new multiplication problem that has just been seen, right? This is what I'm working on. I'm working on the generative process, the requesting of different models depending on the context that you need it. So if you're a teacher in high school or in middle school and you're asking for math problems, not only are you in real time, you're saying, oh, let's work on differential equations. As you're talking about the example, in real time, it's going to generate the problem and also guide you through the solution step by step. So as a teacher, you can now bridge the gap between each step for your students individually. So now the teacher isn't necessarily providing the content, it's aiding in the content delivery system. In short, I see Ellie as being this new phase where instead of having a retrieval model where you ask something and then it gives you back the response, you're going to see generative processes happen in real time. And this will help aid in teaching. It'll help aid in presentations. It'll help aid in other people asking questions. So right now I'm focused on sound and vibration, right? So if I can figure out how to utilize sound and vibration to build context, those things are going to matter the most in the most immediate future, right? And we will see kind of this always on approach where as you're asking for things and utilizing context around you, and it's able to respond to different inputs from you just communicating with it and your friends communicating with it, and identifying your friends and identifying you, you're going to start to see a generative response that isn't just text, isn't just images, isn't just like videos, but it's a tailored response that generates content based on the context. So the learning model is substantive, which means that it only creates what it needs, and it only needs what it creates, right? So those things together are going to build the next foundational layer of the technology in the future. This is my attempt at basically pressing the reset button on technology and saying, hey, instead of using the internet to do everything, let's use this new foundational thing. And it's going to take a lot of buy-in from individuals, right? Users are going to have to want to use Ellie.